Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. I'm Aisha, your host. Today we'll continue our discussion on understanding problematic hadith. We'll talk about the evil eye, magic, and jinn possession. Let's talk to Dr. Shabir Ali about problematic hadith in this area and its implications on ensuring that we take a balanced approach to hadith. Welcome to the show, Dr. Shabir.
Pleasure to be on.
So we're exploring a topic today in the field of problematic hadith, which I think will spark a lot of interest from our viewers. We're talking about evil eye, magic, and jinn possession. So let's begin by defining each of these within the Islamic context.
Well, evil eye, to begin with, is more universal than within the Islamic context. In fact, all of the three, but evil eye is especially known from ancient times, and it's widespread among many different civilizations. People think some people think that if you look at them in a particular way, in an envious way or something like this, then you can cause them some harm just by looking.
So is it, sorry, just to clarify, is it like a literal look or more like a look with the, envious feelings inside?
Well, once this gets opened up, there's no limit to it.
Yeah.
People become suspicious, just the mere look. But it seems like at the core, there is the idea of envy behind it. In the New Testament, when this is translated, they translate it as envy. And we know that there are two surahs of the Quran which are given to us for protection against all evils. And Surah Al-Falaq, it says, Min sharri hasidin idha hasad. We are asking God's protection from the envier when he or she is envious. But this does not necessarily have anything to do with evil eye, because if somebody is jealous of you or more so envious, then they could harm you in so many different ways, physical ways. But now what has emerged in the hadith is that evil eye is a reality and people can harm you just by looking at you. The most extreme case of this I found among the classical collections of hadith is that it is mentioned that a man was taking a bath in a well, and another man saw him and said, "Oh, what beautiful skin you have." And because he praised, like he admired this man's skin, the narrative says that the man who was taking the bath fell ill instantly. And when the Prophet's attention was brought to this, he came and saw the man. The man could not lift up his head. And the Prophet inquired about who could possibly have cast an evil eye on this man. And the culprit was brought. And the Prophet had this culprit bathe, and then the bath water was used to be poured over the body of the sick person, and then he was cured. Now, did this actually happen in fact? I don't think so.
So is this a hadith that we know of?
It's a hadith, okay. Yes. It's a hadith narrated in one of the classical books. So, of course, this is an extreme case, but I'm bringing forward these extreme cases just to register the point that in the same collections of hadith that serve as our guides for prayers and fasting and performing pilgrimage and so on, have these kinds of weird narratives in them. And this shows that the sieve that they used for sifting the hadiths had very big holes, so that you had all kinds of things going through and being accepted. And what is needed now is for us to go back over the classical collections and use a tighter sieve and make sure that we're not approving of things which are there in our collections. They're not mostly ignored because I don't think many Muslims will believe that this actually happened in fact. So Muslims will tend to ignore a narrative like this one. But what happens with a young person who is learning of the religion for the first time and they want to know, okay, where do we find the truth? Okay, these are the books of truth. So then they go to these books and they find it to be mixed with all kinds of incredible and fictitious narratives. And then what happens is that they fall into cognitive dissonance because they cannot believe these narratives, but they compel themselves to believe it. Or tell themselves that they believe it.
Because this is what they've been directed to.
That's right. So we need to solve this. It's a major problem.
So the next, so we're talking about three categories here. So we just talked about the evil eye. What about magic?
Magic too is a problematic area, and this too is widespread. People believe in magic and the different kinds of it in different parts of the world, and they're called by different names. In some parts of Africa, it's referred to as voodoo. In the Caribbean, people talked about visiting the Obia person who will put, you know, a spell on you or something like this, or put a spell on somebody else rather. So how does this play out? We have already seen in our past episode that it is narrated in Hadith that if you eat 7 ajwa dates in the morning, then that will protect you not only from poison but from any magic spell. Well, but is it a reality that people can put magic spells on you like this? In the Quran, it is mentioned that 2 angels taught people that by which, or people learn from them, that by which they can separate the husband from his wife. But that does not necessarily mean magic, because people can actually cause rifts between others, especially between husband and wife, by whispering incorrect information and cause jealousy and so on. But the reality of magic, we know from the Quran that the story of Moses has it that there were magicians of the Pharaoh who cast a sort of spell on people, but it could be that they used tactics of illusion to get people to believe that they saw what they saw, whereas in fact that was not true. But whether or not people really have the ability to alter physics and to move things without any physical means and so on, this is highly disputable. And let's say some people believe that, then, you know, people are different. Some people are more prone to believe certain things, some people are not. But when you have this entrenched in the Hadith, then it becomes necessary for all Muslims to believe in these things, if you say that the Hadiths have that level of authority and veracity. And what do we find in Hadith? We find problematic things. Like, for example, it is mentioned that the Prophet, peace be upon him, himself was bewitched. And as a result of this, he would think that he had done something, whereas in fact he hadn't done it. And some of the narratives even say that he would think that he had gone and had intercourse with one of his wives, but he hadn't in fact done that. And
it's in reference to magic?
Yes, that he was under this spell. And how long did the spell last? Some of the reports have it that he lasted 6 months. And then finally, the Prophet, peace be upon him, saw a vision in which 2 angels were were talking to each other about the details of this. And from their conversation, he learned that the magic was done in this way, that some hairs were taken from him, and his comb was also obtained, and some teeth from the comb together with the hair were put in a wrapping of something to do with the date palm, and then buried at the bottom of a well. And then the Prophet, peace be upon him, gave the directive for the well to be filled up, and he was cured.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we have narratives like this, which most Muslims today would say that this probably didn't happen in fact. And from a theological perspective, we would say that the Quran is very clear that people could not harm the Prophet, because God told him, بَلِّغْ مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ وَاللَّهُ يَعْصِمُكَ مِنَ النَّاسِ. Allah will protect you from people. The 72nd chapter, called Surah Al-Jinn, in fact, interestingly enough, comes at the end to say that God will protect his prophet to make sure that he delivers the message, and that his message is not contaminated by any other force.
So just to be clear, the idea of magic in Islam, is it something that does exist and we have hadiths to validate it, or are they all problematic and they don't apply?
Well, we can say that there is mention of magic in the Quran, but one who is not prone to believing in magic, one who thinks that this is all hogwash, it doesn't happen, can interpret the Quran in a manner that does not require belief that it actually happens. When we come to the Hadith, the matter is more clearly settled. Magic is a reality, it happens, it happened even to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So now this makes it necessary for all Muslims to believe, whether those who are more inclined to believe in things like this and those who are totally against believing in things like this, because there is a sort of a scientific mind which says I can't believe in things which does not seem to have any connection with physical reality, and magic is obviously one of these things. So by insisting on the veracity and this level of authority for the hadiths, we are actually imposing on the intelligentsia among Muslims a belief which is hard for them to maintain, and this is a problem.
So Shabir, I know we didn't get a chance to talk about jinn possession, but I think we'll leave that for a separate segment in and of itself. So thank you very much, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Hey YouTube, we hope you benefited from this video. If you liked it, or if you didn't, let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more, check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.